Hi everyone and welcome back to TARS. This video is for those of you who are active on LinkedIn or who want to be active on LinkedIn but don't find the time or the bandwidth to come up with a good LinkedIn post every single day. Whether it's for your company brand or your personal brand, LinkedIn is the place to be, especially if you want brand visibility. A good LinkedIn post has a strong hook to grab your audience's attention and to make them stop scrolling. It has meaningful messaging in smaller chunks to make it easier to consume. And finally, it has an impactful CTA to help your readers take action immediately. But to come up with a good post that sets you apart from the crowd, you would need to find articles or data points that resonate with your audience. Then you would have to summarize and structure them to keep your readers engaged. And finally, you would have to find the time to post regularly. This can easily take anywhere between 15 minutes to an hour. So, I created a solution that can automate this entire process because writing from scratch and figuring out what's trending can be a chaotic process. This solution is the LinkedIn Post Maker Agent, which can generate a well-structured, meaningful, and high-quality post within seconds. Instead of manually brainstorming, writing, and formatting the post yourself, you can use this tool to automate a big chunk of your LinkedIn strategy. This agent takes a URL as the input, it analyzes it to find key insights, and then creates a LinkedIn optimized post with a strong hook, a well-written body, and an impactful CTA. And as a bonus, it can also create an image that matches your post. In this video, I'll show you how this agent works, and I'll also provide a step-by-step walkthrough on how you can build this agent and customize it so the posts reflect your brand and your style. By the end of this video, you will have a working tool that automates your LinkedIn content creation. But before we jump into the building process, let's see this agent in action. To find this agent, just open your web browser and type LinkedIn Post Generator by TARS and click on the first link. Here's the agent, and let's see how it works.
Hi there, I'm an AI agent who can help you turn your content into a scroll-stopping LinkedIn post effortlessly. Share your content and I'll craft the perfect LinkedIn post for you, engaging, impactful, and ready to go. I'll ask you a few questions to tailor the post to your preferences. Ready?
Yes.
What is your preferred writing style?
I think I will go with conversational.
What is the desired length of your post?
Let's go with medium.
Who is your target audience?
I think I will go with general public for this.
What CTA should be included at the end of the post?
Since it's for LinkedIn, I think I'll go with let me know your thoughts.
Great. I have all your preferences. Please share your content to be turned into a post as a URL.
For this, I'm going to use a blog post that was made a while back.
Strong AI versus weak AI, the debate continues. Can machines truly think like humans? AI is reshaping our world. Strong AI aims for human-like intelligence. Weak AI excels in specific tasks. But what's the real difference? Key differences. Weak AI specialized tasks only. Think Siri or Alexa. Strong AI, human-like reasoning, still a sci-fi dream. Learning and adaptation. Weak AI, limited to specific tasks. Strong AI adapts across contexts. Real-world examples. Weak AI, fraud detection, chatbots. Strong AI, not yet realized. The future of AI is promising, but are we ready for it? What are your thoughts on AI's future? Would you like me to generate an image to go along with your LinkedIn post?
Yes.
What's your preferred color scheme?
White and purple. Hey, nice. I got an image too. So that was the walkthrough of how this agent works. And this just took a few seconds, which would otherwise have taken me at minimum 15 minutes to come up with this. So now that we've seen the agent, let's get into the step-by-step walkthrough on how you can build this agent yourself. But if you don't want to do that, here's a little cheat. Just click on use this template, sign into TARS, and you'll be able to edit the workflow on the spot. To build any kind of agent, you will require a platform. And luckily for us, the TARS platform has a no-code builder, which means we are going to make our agent without writing a single line of code. Just open your web browser and go to hellotars.com. Log in, or if you don't have an account already, sign up. Once we're inside the dashboard, click on New and select Start from Scratch. Just give your AI agent a name and click Create. Now we have this blank canvas, which is going to eventually become a workflow for our AI agent. But before we get into that, let's quickly analyze how this agent worked and what its flow was. So the agent started by gathering my preferences at the first step, which was basically how I envisioned my LinkedIn post to be. Then it took a URL from me, which was the main content that it was going to repurpose into an impactful LinkedIn post. After that, it generated the post, and it also gave me an option to review the post. Like I could have asked it to tweak some things, or maybe don't use the word weak AI, something like that, right? And finally, it designed an image for me that matched my post. So we're going to follow the same process when we are creating this AI agent. Let's start by clicking this Add a Gambit button. You might be wondering what a gambit is. A gambit is basically a step in the conversation. So you can think of it as one dialogue exchange between the agent and the user. Our workflow is going to be made up of multiple gambits of all kinds. There might be AI gambits, or there might be basic gambits, or there might be tool gambits. And I'll describe this as we go along. So I'm going to name the gambit welcome_message. You'll notice that I'm not using any capitalization or spaces, and instead of spaces, I'm using underscores. This is just good naming practice when it comes to gambits. Now you can see the messages over here. Right now it says, you just write the words, I'll do all the talking. But this is basically the first message that the user is going to get once they land on this agent. I want to have multiple messages here to mimic exactly what that agent looked like. So I'm going to click the new message bubble. Now I have a great welcome message for whenever the user lands up on the AI agent. Not only is the AI agent describing what it does, but it's also giving an idea of what the future looks like when it says, I'll ask you a few questions to gather your preferences. Now, if you notice, this is a basic gambit. You can see that right here in the basic setting. And the input is going to be text. I'm just going to click save. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to click publish and click this button to view my agent in a new tab. So as soon as I land on the agent, I receive these messages, the same messages that I added to the gambit. For me as a user, these messages have set the expectations for the conversation. Let's go back to our analysis of the conversational flow. In the next steps, we want the agent to gather the user's preferences, such as the writing style, the length of the post, the target audience, and the CTA. So each of these is going to be covered in a basic gambit, similar to the first gambit, which means one dialogue exchange between the user and the agent. So let's create the workflow for gathering the user's preferences. I'll follow the same process. First, click the Add a Gambit button. Check if this is a basic gambit. which it is, and give it a name. In this gambit, I want to understand what writing style the user prefers for their LinkedIn post, so I'll name the gambit writing_style. Now I'll edit the message bubble. But this gambit is going to be a little different from the previous one because I'm going to change the user input. Instead of making the user type out what writing style they prefer, I'm going to add options as buttons. I want the agent to give options like informative, storytelling, conversational, persuasive, or thought-provoking. Each of these is going to be a button of its own. So I click this text box and I'm going to choose button over here. Each button is going to be an option of its own. So we have informative, storytelling, conversational, persuasive, and thought-provoking. Click Save. And now I'll drag this gambit here and connect the two gambits to each other by their nodes. This little red thing over here is called a node, and I can just drag to connect them. So again, let's see what that looks like. Click Publish and the button next to it. Yes. And here I have a bunch of buttons. For the user, this is an easy way to select the writing style for their LinkedIn post. Back in the builder, let's look at what happened in the second gambit. By default, each button has a node representing it. What this means is that based on the button selected by the user, we can create different threads or different paths for the conversation to take. This is called branching, where the conversation branches off depending on the option selected by the user. But for this workflow, we don't want the conversation to branch off. We're still at the stage of gathering information from the user. So I'll click on the writing style gambit again, go to Settings and disable branching. Click Save. All the nodes have disappeared and there is only a single node. So by now, we have completed 2 steps in the conversation. The third step is where we want to understand the desired length of the post. Once again, add a gambit. Name it post_length and change the agent's message bubble. What is the desired length of the post? I'll click here and choose the button option. You can add options that are customized to the kind of posts you want to create. For example, in my feed, I often come across these bold and controversial posts that can get pretty long. I want to mimic these kinds of posts since they are trending right now, so I'll customize the options that the agent presents to reflect that. We've already chosen button as the user input, and I'm going to add options like short, medium, and long. Now again we'll go to Settings and disable branching. Click Save and attach the gambit. In the next gambit, the agent should understand who the target audience is. We'll add another gambit. Change its name to reflect what it does and change the message bubble. For the user input here, I'm going to leave it at the default option, which is plain text. So the user will type who their target audience is, whether it's marketers or CEOs or whoever they're targeting. Save the gambit. The next gambit is the last gambit of the information gathering stage. It's going to cover the CTA of the post. I'll save myself some time and duplicate the target audience gambit by clicking this button to copy it. Change the name and the message bubble. Click Save. We've successfully cleared one entire stage of the conversational flow. Our agent is now designed to gather all the user preferences for the LinkedIn post. Now, let's move on to the next stage, where we are going to take the main content that has to be repurposed from the user as a URL. We will add another gambit and name it content URL. Says, please share the URL of the main content that should be repurposed into a LinkedIn post. For this gambit, we are going to make this a no input gambit by clicking this button right here. What this means is that when the user responds to this message, that information is going to go to the next gambit instead of this one. Click Save and attach it to the flow. We'll add another gambit, and this gambit is going to be an AI agent gambit. So we'll click this setting right here, choose AI agent and rename it. Go to the default messages section and delete any messages that are already here. So this AI agent gambit is going to cover all the next stages of the conversational flow, which is number 1, generating the LinkedIn post. Number 2, presenting it and having the user review the post. And number 3, the added bonus part, generating an image to match the post. But this gambit by itself can't do much apart from being a helpful assistant. To turn it into a powerful LinkedIn post generator, we need to change its base prompt right here. Essentially, this means that we will have to give the agent a set of instructions to follow so that it always creates posts that have a strong hook, are well formatted, and have an impactful CTA. Apart from just following these instructions, we also have to ensure that the AI agent is well aware of the user's preferences and the generated post aligns with what the user shared as the main content or the original content. And we are going to make all of this happen by changing the base prompt and adding tools to this AI agent gambit. This can be explained better if you see how an AI agent works when the user gives it a request. So let's take a quick look. First, the user request or the user query comes through. Then, the request is processed by the agent. To do this, it might require tools, just like a carpenter might require a hammer to build a table. Our LinkedIn post generator will require a tool to be able to read the information from the URL provided by the user and to make an image for the post. Then, similar to how you may have to provide context to a carpenter about the kind of table you want, the base prompt is going to contain the instructions, the plan for building the perfect LinkedIn post, and an example or two for reference. This is just a very high-level explanation of what happens within the AI agent gambit. So, let's start by putting things into action by equipping our agent with the tools. We are going to use Firecrawl and Ideogram as tools for our AI agent. Firecrawl is a tool that can scrape content from a URL, amongst other things. And Ideogram is an image generation tool. You would need the API key for both of these tools, which can be found in your Firecrawl account and your Ideogram account. So, once you have your API keys, open a new tab in your web browser and go to admin.hellotars.com/ai/tools. On this page, you will be able to find both ideogram and firecrawl in your tool library. All you need to do is click Add Tool, insert your API key here, and here you go, you can just add tool. Now we can head back to building our AI agent and just refresh this page. Now we are going to add a new gambit, and this is going to be a tool gambit. We can click here and choose AI-tool. We don't have to name this gambit, but we can select the tool from the drop-down menu and click Save. You can see that this tool gambit looks a little different from the other gambits, and all we need to do is just attach it to the AI agent gambit like this. The next step is to change the base prompt of the AI agent gambit. Again, the prompt is the set of instructions for the AI agent that tells it what to do and how to do it. So I'm going to paste the prompt that I've already used to create LinkedIn posts in the style that I like. Click Edit Prompt. So you can start by defining the role of the agent, like you are a LinkedIn post generator. Next, you can add the agent's general parameters or general rules right under this. These are super strict instructions that the AI agent should never break throughout the conversation. So my example is ensure to adhere to the user's preferences. Now you can add context about the user's preferences by referencing the gambit where the user gave information. For example, just save this. If we scroll up here, you know that the user would have given information about their target audience in the target audience gambit. So we are going to reference it the same way. To reference something that was said by the user in a previous gambit, you will use this code. In braces, you will type URSP dot the name of the gambit. So this is why it is really important to name your gambits properly. And URSP stands for user response. If you read this here, I have given the instruction to the agent on the writing style and the post length and the target audience and the CTA, all of these things that we covered previously with the basic gambits. After this, tell your AI agent the process for writing a good LinkedIn post. We have already attached tools to it, but we still want those tools to be used for a specific purpose only. So that is also given in the prompt. So do you remember that we used no input in the previous gambit? Which means that the URL to the main content that was provided in the last gambit will actually come to this AI agent gambit. And what it will do is act as a trigger for the AI agent gambit to start working. After this, I've added some basic guidelines for the structure and style of the LinkedIn post based on what I like. You can change this into something that aligns with your vision. For example, if you are making this LinkedIn post generator for your company, then this is a good place for you to add some context about your company, such as your brand messaging. And finally, we are going to add some examples of what the final outcome should look like. I think this is super important if you want your agent to work well. You can compare it to describing a table to the carpenter versus showing the carpenter an image of the kind of table you want. It leaves less room for ambiguity. In this prompt, I have added 3 example LinkedIn posts. So I am going to save the prompt. And once you're done with prompting, I would really recommend that you test the prompt. Now, before leaving this gambit, make sure to scroll down to the settings below and ensure that the chat history toggle is turned on before you move on to the next stage. So you can click save and we are done with this gambit. Now the next stage is image generation. This stage starts off with a simple basic gambit. The purpose of this gambit is when the agent is going to ask the user if they want an image to match the LinkedIn post, because not every post will require an image. I'm going to name it and I'll add 2 buttons, yes or no. For this gambit, we are going to go to the settings and enable branching. So this has to be on, because if the user says no, then the conversation should end. So save this, and you can see we have 2 nodes for 2 different branches. If the user says yes, then that is going to be a different path. We'll add another basic gambit to ask the user what their preferred color scheme is. It's very simple. It's just asking a straightforward question, and we are going to leave it as a simple text input and save this. Now for the image generation, we are going to add another AI agent gambit. Go to the settings and ensure that you have clicked AI agent. Before we go anywhere else, we are going to delete the default messages. Now this AI agent gambit's role is to generate the image for the user based on their LinkedIn post. We'll edit the base prompt here. I'm going to use a prompt that I already have. And I've followed pretty much the same process where I've defined the role first, and then I've given a process, I've added parameters. But the one thing that is different from the previous prompt is that I have referenced not the user's response, but the agent's response from a previous gambit. And I've done this by writing this line, where basically this part is supposed to be the name of the AI agent gambit. This little thing tells the agent to reference an agent's response or answer instead of a user input or user response that was given previously. So same as before, save the prompt, scroll down and ensure chat history toggle is on. Save. Oh, and don't forget to name your agent. And click save. You can now loop this agent's node back to itself. So instead of just one exchange between the user and the agent, which was happening in our basic gambits earlier, we are now going to have multiple exchanges within the same gambit. So the conversation keeps on going. We'll also add a tool, which is ideogram, for the image generation. Follow the same steps as before. Select tool, select ideogram and click save. And now just attach it to the image agent gambit. Lastly, we are going to add a basic gambit to the branch where the user didn't want an image to be generated. I am going to name it image, and the agent can say something like, great, if you want to create another LinkedIn post, please refresh the page. And I'll turn this into a no input gambit. So the conversation ends. And there we go. Our workflow is ready. Wait, before we do anything else, we missed out a step in the color scheme gambit. This should be a no input gambit, not a text input. And let's also change the message that the agent gives. What is your preferred color scheme is the ideal message. So save this. And now we have completed the entire workflow, from gathering the user's preferences to getting the URL of the main content, generating the post, and finally making an image to go with the post. After this, I can move to the design section of the TARS no code builder. Here, I am going to change the look and feel of my AI agent. There's a bunch of themes to choose from. So I'll go with this one. And if I head into the custom tab, I can change the header name, which is the name that appears at the top of the agent. If I scroll down, I can change the color of the user messages, the agent messages. I can even change the background color. And I can even change the font. Don't forget to click Save Changes. If I was making this for my company, what I would do is follow the brand colors and the brand guidelines for the company. I would even add my company logo in the header avatar. But for now, I'll just use this little robot. While we're on the topic of company branding, let's head into the configure section. And here I can change a part of the agent's link. Click Save. I can also head into the voice and audio section and toggle CTAs streaming on, which basically means that the agent voice will now flow freely. In fact, I can even go here and change the voice that it uses. Now let's publish this agent and test it. You can click this button to open your agent in a new tab.
Hi there, I'm an AI agent who can help you turn your content into a scroll-stopping LinkedIn post effortlessly. Share your content and I'll craft the perfect LinkedIn post for you, engaging, impactful, and ready to go. I'll ask you a few questions to tailor the post to your preferences. Ready?
I'm going to type yes.
What writing style do you prefer for the post?
Let's go with persuasive.
What is the desired length of the post?
Let's go with medium.
Who is your target audience?
I would say it's for everyone, so the general public.
What's the CTA of your post?
If I'm doing this to drive engagement, then I want people to comment on my LinkedIn post, so I'll just say share your thoughts.
Please share the URL of the main content that should be repurposed into a LinkedIn post.
I'll just add a blog link here and let it do the rest.
This fintech card protects your savings. Here's how. Elderly individuals are vulnerable to scams. Financial losses are skyrocketing. Traditional banking solutions fail them.
Great. So now that it has generated the post, I don't want to go through all of it right now. It's also given me a few hashtags, and now it's asking if I want an image for it. I'm going to say yes. My preferred color scheme is black and white. Great! This agent is going to save me so much time and help me grow my personal brand on LinkedIn. I can just spend about 15 minutes every week to create impactful LinkedIn posts instead of spending 30 minutes every day in structuring, formatting, and finding the right image. I hope that you found this video useful and that this agent changes your approach to LinkedIn by saving you the time and effort of writing posts yourself by automating those boring tasks. Let me know in the comments which agent I could make next that could solve a recurring challenge for you. Happy automating!